the representative of the Senate President, the representative of the Speaker of the House, other distinguished senators present and past, other distinguished honorable members of the House of Representatives present and past, including the various committee chairmen that we work together with, that I feel much honored for them to be here. The Executive Governor of Ekiti State and the Chairman of the Governors Forum, Dr. Fahmy, who has been with us and is still with us in spirit, but had to go to attend to Mr. President's call. They left a little, about 15 minutes ago. The chairman and members of the board of directors of NNPC, especially Dr. Thomas John, who personifies the board, and also the former group managing director. Your Excellencies, former governors and former ministers, permanent secretaries, especially the representative of the permanent secretary, Minister of Petroleum, supervisor, the group managing director designate, with some level of nostalgia, our forefathers, the group managing director, first group managing director of this great corporation, Chief Festus Mariho, who, despite his age, he honored me by being here. Chief Mariho. You are the one that sewed this cap. This is the original cap he sewed as a symbolism of this great office. When you sewed this cap, sir, I'm certain I'm not reading your mind, but you had an orderly transition in mind. And this is what we are celebrating today. There are only two of them. One of them you gave at that time to your boss and Commissioner of Mines, who is currently the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. And this one, because of the vigorousness and orderly transitions, you left it in your office. I'm sorry your dreams did not come true at that time, that you are going to put it on somebody's head. But I feel reassured that God willing, from now on, our successors will be able to transfer it from one head to the other. Mr. President, we thank him for the orderly transition he's brought back to our industry. And we pray that going forward, successive presidents or chairmen of the board of the great corporation NNPC will make it possible for a very, 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 very orderly transition. And this one, if I quote him correctly, when the decision was made by him to accept my statutory retirement from service, an appointment from Malik Yari, he said, I want you to have smooth transition. That's why I'm doing it early. So you have 3 weeks, sit with him, so that it will not even appear like a flip of switch. It's only the operators that will know there is synchronization that took place. We thank and we thank you for your vision for an orderly, smooth transition for a commercial corporation of significant importance that hates disruption in industry. Chief Odili Lolomari, I thank you for your interest and continuous support for being here. Chief Chamberlain Oibo, you've always been with us, you offering your advice. I cannot say much. On my mentor, Engineer Funsho Kupuloku. After being headhunted by Dr. John, Dr. G.M. John in 1991, and being identified to face the challenges that at that time Professor Aminu, our minister and chairman of the board, they had a vision to instill a world-class procurement outfit in this country, and thought that a young man that is not yet deep into the NNPC system should come in and head this unit. I was entrusted in the hands of Engineer Funsho Kupuloku as and because at that time the idea the Honorable Minister and Chairman of the Board and Dr. John had was advanced for the time, our activity was short-lived. But it took the determination of Engineer Funsho Kupuloku to take me as a personal project. A young man, I was grounded in this industry. We thank God, and I thank you, sir. Engineer Obakar Erdogan, when you came on board, you looked at me and said, I would love to bring you up as a group executive director. However, our upstream is in shambles. Almost everything goes. You go to Napims and put it straight. I could recall that conversation. I didn't like it. And I told him to his face, I'm done with Napims. It's not meant for people to perpetuate themselves. I've contributed my culture. I was in Napims for a good 6 years before going to NGC to pay my dues in Warri for 5 years. I don't want to go back to Napims. I could recall it was a very heated debate with him and my friend Alhaji Ibrahim Waziri. Two of them bullied me. I'm sorry about that. I'm not bullying the microphones. But really, I could recall we spent over an hour for them to say that whether I like it or not, I must go and fix that place. I accepted it. It was a challenge. Napims was really a nightmare from when I left it in 1999. In 2007. When I went there, that I appreciated that they needed me there. But it also gave me opportunity to actualize some of my dreams. The Egina project was a very, very difficult decision for me as Chief Executive of NAPIMS to take. The focus were showing marginal economics. Time when you have very high costs, the project could marginally make it by sort of opportunities. Took the top decision, bringing in the Egina project at that point. And I thank God that 10 years down the line, the Egina project is producing above the 200,000 barrels. For Dr. Joseph Talma Dawa, we were brought out of retirement to come and lead the operation. Very difficult environment. Very strong political interference. I must say, for you to be sitting here and not running away, with all that happened at that time, I could only thank God for guiding you to resist and adapt and sneak through the various banana peels that were lent to you by your political masters, and still try to give some sanity, some level of sanity in the cooperation. I really emphasize with you. The executive secretaries of the various parastatals under the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ministry of Time, I will only mention you, the PEF, the PTDF, the NCDMD, PPPRA, Nuclear Regulatory Agency, for understanding and collaborating and supporting and working with synergy with us, the NNPC, and understanding our roles and delivering to the nation. Having regulators and commercial operators is already adversarial. But I must thank you, the executive secretaries, because your vision had empathized with us to be able to deliver all those things we saw being attributed to me. It required a lot of synergy and collaboration. CB, Brother Cindy, Guider, Ahmed the boy, Yahoo, and of course, Dr. Bello Gusau, who sent in a word that he could not be here, but he's still representative of the PTDF. Today, people have been surprised. What is EFCC doing here? Is this coming to carry the GMD, outgoing GMD? No, I'm going to surprise you because he came with a badge for me. That with my anti-corruption campaign, being forced on me, of course, by Kufuloko when he was GMD, I never forget it. We were going to, on the day of the inauguration, after the unfortunate death of Abdullahi, the erstwhile chairman of the anti-corruption campaign, anti-corruption committee of the NNPC. Because the NNPC actually was the very first agency to imbibe that government's drive of fighting corruption. I recall the passage of the bill for the ICPC was in September 2000, or the assent, and NNPC in October 2000 inaugurated an in-house anti-corruption committee to leverage on that act. So when people talk about transparency and integrity, NNPC had always been watch out for infractions and anti-corruption activities and corruption. So when the late Abdallah, blessed memory, his soul rest in peace, died, the management then under my mentor, Engineer Koploku, I'd called him on a routine visit to him and also to beg for product allocation from Carlson. Little did I know that he had something in his mind. As I walked in, they were about going down with the secretary to the corporation and other top management. He now told the secretary to the corporation, I'm going to make Baru chairman. I said, chairman of what? And he just literally held my hand and we went into the lift. I don't know why I'm going to be chairman of what, and we ended up here. Then he announced that I was the chairman of the anti-corruption committee. And ever since the EFCC chairman, when he found that out, he said he's coming with a badge for my, as I go out of this place, he's going to put badge on me as a member of his team. I don't think, I want to go on retirement, please. Chairman, EFCC, thanks for supporting us. And the chairman of NICDA, he saw that we won the accolade as the best IT website in federal parastatus. And we are one organization that NICDA has been proud of. So Dr. Pantami, you are coming here to support us and identify with us. It's much appreciated. And I reassure you that NNPC will continue to do all its IT activities in line with their act, just as I've done before. The various representatives of service chiefs and paramilitary organizations, I could see the representative of the Immigration Service, my good friend, Babandede, the representative of the IG of the police, other chief operating officers of NNPC incoming and going, the executive secretaries, and other friends that have come, and staff of NNPC. The various captains of industry, I've seen many of our friends that are here. The various media organizations that are here. Of course, our families and friends. You should not say that I've forgotten the leadership of our unions. We see that for us, we have an in-house, vibrant union, and of course an industry union. They always remind me that enjoyment now. And I don't think I disappointed them. Distinguished invited guests, it's absolutely necessary that I recognize each and every one of you. My dear colleagues, it is 3 years since I took over as the 18th Group Managing Director of the NNPC. Over these eventful 1,099 days, I have done my very best to put the corporation in the path of recovery, then to sustainable growth. As always, there is a time when it is proper to leave the scene for fresh blood, to continue the journey of leading a great corporation. For me, this time is now. My joy is I'm leaving behind competent, vibrant, and good hands that can entrust leadership of the organization too. To emphasize this point, let me indulge you on a short story. An Airbus 380 is on its way across the Atlantic. It is flying consistently at 800 kilometers an hour at 38,000 feet. When suddenly a Eurojet fighter jet appears. The pilot of the fighter jet slows down, flies alongside the Airbus, and greets the pilot of the passenger plane by radio. Airbus flight, boring flight, isn't it? Take care and have a look. The fighter pilot rolls his jet on his back, accelerates, breaks through the sound barrier, rises rapidly to a dizzying height until the Airbus pilot was not seen him, only to swoop down almost to the sea level in a breathtaking dive. He looks back next to the Airbus and asks, "Well, how was that?" The Airbus pilot answers, "Very impressive. But now, you too, have a look." The fighter jet pilot watches the Airbus. But nothing happens. It continues to fly stubbornly straight ahead at the same speed. After 5 minutes, the Airbus pilot radios the fighter pilot. "Well, what are you saying now?" The jet pilot asks, confused, "What did you do?" The Airbus pilot laughs and says, "I got up, stretched my legs, went to the back of the cabin, the bathroom, eased myself, got a cup of coffee and a cinnamon cake. I also chatted some of the passengers and my beautiful air hostesses. And I'll crown it off when we land in a 5-star hotel, all being paid by my employer, the airline. The moral of this story is, when you are young, speed, adrenaline seem to be great. But as you get older and wiser, comfort and peace of mind are not to be despised either. This is another meaning of SOS. Not save ourselves, but slower, bolder, and smarter. In my maiden speech to you, my staff and colleagues, back in 2016, we launched the 12 business focus areas which we use to drive our mission. These focus areas touch on all facets of the business as was shown to you during the presentation. I would not like to bore you with them. I look back with so much pride. Not only was it shown, but it's one of the impressive things that made me adopt the choir group when I went to Port Harcourt Refinery of Petrochemicals. During those interactions, I was really surprised when the choir group offered to make a presentation to me. And you heard it again today. They sang all the 12 business focus areas that made staff imbibe them at their leisure. And it's part of our podcast. It's there on our website all the time for staff to look, to hear, because some people, most people, get songs to make them imbibe. I look back with so much pride of what we have achieved together as a family towards moving this great corporation forward, using the 12 business focus areas. I'd like to thank you all for your support, especially to all my chief operating officers and the chief financial officer who are retiring also with me today. Your contribution to the growth of the organization is highly recognized. I cannot thank you enough. At this juncture, let me highlight some of the key achievements of my Chief Operating Officer, Chief Financial Officer, and the Chief Operating Officers towards the delivery of 12 business focus areas. May I respectfully please request Alhaji Ishaq Abdurazak to stand up. Please remain standing. Please remain standing. You championed the cash call exit repayment process of $5 billion arrears of the JV through incremental production. We also, in that direction, was able to convince the federal government, and particularly the Governors Forum, that are looking for every dime they can get, or every kobo, correct, that they can get, and as such, the payable arrears is the least in their agenda. You obtained their consent, the approval of the federal government, and instituted the self-funding model. So far, $2.3 billion has been paid, about 47% of the total amount. And on the 4th of July, 2019, we fully exited the cash call arrears of the ExxonMobil joint venture. Raja brother, we ensured that our salaries and other benefits, I don't want to mention them, are paid on time. Not only on time, but you made it a cultic religious undertaking to pay before the 25th of every month, including when the country went into recession. I know when you come to me and say that we have to borrow, and it was tough for me. We have to borrow, we have to pay, we have to pay. And I said, let's let a little we are expecting some money is coming. He said, no, we have to pay. We can't pay 25th. You also keep reminding me that I took an undertaking that our pensioners must not be handed over to other TFAs. And as such, the almost 200 billion pension gap that was a good bait to stop the continuation of the closed pension gap, closed pension fund scheme that we operate, is hanging over our neck. And PENCOM was around the corner with his long life to severe us and send retirees into oblivion, where they will not be sure whether they'll get paid or not. And consistently we drew up the program, and 198 billion naira was fully paid off last year. And the gap was closed. And not only that, Elijah Brazak, I think the retirees owe you a lot more. Although I was the chairman of the NNPC pension, you are effectively the one running it, because I only attend the AGMs. But as the alternate chairman, you are able to see my vision in saying that some of our pensioners that were earning about 1,000 naira because of the time that they retired, some even less than 5,000. We should bring arms home by inviting some of those that are earning much more to do sacrifice as you earn scheme, whereby 2 weeks ago they are able to get most of the high earners into one room, and 90% of them agreed. Serious haircut, which had to be done in order to spread some of their earnings down to those in the lower ranks. And as usual with NNPC, while you are working, we don't pay you minimum wage. We always pay above the minimum wage. And as such, we're able to convince those high-earning retirees to shed off some weight and make sure that no pensioner in NNPC from 1st of this month earns less than 50,000 naira a month. This was not a small sacrifice. I was the greatest victim of all this because I lost 45.6% of my terminal benefits to this sacrifice, and I'm also losing 1.5 million naira of monthly stipend. But most importantly, I really appreciate the zeal with which retirees that are earning more have looked at themselves as their brother's keepers and agreed to this sacrifice as we end scheme. Maybe for me, the quantum is huge, but I'm not there yet. Maybe when I get there, I realize that maybe I should be against it. But for them who are already there, it's not mean sacrifice, and I really mean it. And I thank you, our retirees, for empathizing with your lower-ranked, lower-earning colleagues. Sheka, I wouldn't have known what I would have done. We came on the stage when the financials of this great corporation have not been audited since 2010. You saw a vision. You actualize it. As I'm speaking to you, even 2018 accounts have been audited. We have no backlog of 7 years accounts. And I challenge any other parastatal to tell me that they have 2018 accounts audited.